It's always exciting when an elected official does the right thing. And Representative Lance Russell, we want to say thank you to Governor Dennis Daugaard for doing the right thing.
Yes, we do.
He announced that he's not going to initiate a state-run healthcare exchange.
Yes, and I believe that that's a significant step forward.
Well, it is when you consider that he's been fighting all the way, spent approaching $1 million studying an issue that we said didn't need to be studied.
Well, that's correct. I mean, it did take 2 years to come to this, and it also took, like you said, about $1 million. But the linchpin of Obamacare, the way in which it was structured, the 2,000 and some pages, was that we were to have a state exchange, so the state would be the coercive agent of the federal government in implementing something that nobody in the state really wants.
Well, yes, and the significant thing about the state-run exchange that was sort of left out of all the conversation, Lance, was that a state-run exchange had to meet all the requirements, all the rules, and all the regulations of the PPACA. So all this studying and spending $850,000 to just come full circle back to a reality that we've been telling him, gee, I wish he would have given us $500,000. Just think of the good we could have done with that across the state. But we've spent well over $750,000. Thankfully, what he's saying now is no state-run health exchange. That's a good thing.
It is. There's no question about the fact that this decision is probably the most important decision in making sure that we do not force the state between the doctors and their patients.
Well, Lance, I view this as a marathon race, and while Governor Daugaard is suited up and he's taken the first step off the starting block, there's a long ways to go, because we're telling him he should send back the $7 billion of Obamacare money. He should fire his full-time health exchange staff, and he should repeal Senate Bill 43 and 38 and now get on board with other conservatives like you and me who are saying we need to repeal. Let's see, Governor Daugaard, will you embrace legislation that repeals Obamacare in South Dakota? That would convince me that he's really serious, that he intends to finish this race.
Well, and I think the most important issue as we face the upcoming legislative session, it has to do with Medicaid eligibility for able-bodied adults. Part of Obamacare actually forces the states or asks the states to implement a policy that allows more welfare for able-bodied people. The U.S. Supreme Court struck that portion of it down. And it will cost the state an enormous amount of money, as much as $50 million.
And that's so a lot of money for South Dakota.
We, as the state of South Dakota, do not need to be funding additional welfare. We need to help people move from welfare to work rather than encouraging more people to move from work to welfare.
So, and you're saying that we can affect that positive move by resisting Obamacare?
We can. And specifically the Medicaid portion of it that the U.S. Supreme Court said the states could refuse.
Yes.
And up to this point, I don't believe the governor's made a statement on this, but we as the legislature, I think, have a duty to the people of South Dakota to make sure that we do not encourage the destruction of our workforce in this state by encouraging people to move from work to welfare.
Well, and when you're talking about $50 million, Lance, that takes it out of somebody's pocket.
Yes.
And the only way that happens is by increased fees or increased taxes. And South Dakotans are not excited about that prospect.
Or taking it from education, where
Yes.
we really need to be spending this money.
Or taking it from the federal government, who is then going to tell us what to do.
But I think that the $50 million is our share of what the feds want to force on us. That's the state share.
Yes,
and
you're
that's
right.
significant
Yes, you're right.
change that needs to go to education, K through 12.
Folks, we're out of time right now, but call Governor Daugaard and thank him for taking this positive step and encourage him to continue in this race to resist Obamacare in every way.